Well, good morning, everyone, on this hot and muggy day. I'm glad to be indoors with air conditioning, and I hope that all of you have somewhere cool to hang out, whether you're here in the sanctuary or whether you are watching us remotely. We are so glad to have you here. I'm the Reverend Dr. Claudia Hall. My pronouns are she or they, and I am delighted to be the minister of this congregation. We welcome everyone today to this home of comfort, spirit, justice, and hope. We are Unitarian Universalists. An important ritual in our Unitarian Universalist faith is the lighting of our chalice. We have so many different interpretations of this, whether it be the light of reason, the warmth of community, the flame of hope. Join me in celebrating this and any reasons that you have in your own hearts as we join together in our unison words projected on our screen. We hallow this time together by kindling the lamp of our heritage. I invite you to join with me as you are willing and able in a spirit of prayer and meditation. Sacred Spirit of justice, for far too long you have been used as a tool of abuse by those in power. We gather here this day to reject false narratives that pervert what justice should be, and we seek to reclaim the cry of the ancient prophets who said that justice, justice we shall pursue. May our actions here and in our communities reflect what justice can truly be, a means of ensuring that all beings are offered the capacity to truly flourish. Amen, and blessed be. I invite you to remain seated and join us in our hymn in the gray hymnal or projected on the wall. It's number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song. It's a tradition here at the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Alton to place each service within the larger sources and principles that we as UUs hold dear. We are a religion with no requirement of creed or belief, but we do have things that we support overall. And the service today comes from our second and our sixth principles. The second is justice, equity, and compassion in human relationships. And the sixth is the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Did you know that the only concept which is repeated in our current principles is the idea of justice? As Unitarian Universalists, we know that what is legal is not necessarily what is just, and we stand on the side of justice, the ideal, because only when each person lives in a just world can any of us truly be free. All of our principles stem from love, and justice is love given hands and feet. As such, we all have a role to play in shifting society from one where justice is just an ideal that isn't reflected in our laws to a society where justice really is the core of all things and where each person can truly flourish. In accordance with this theme, I invite the children to stay seated this morning and to listen on the video for a reading of the book The Day You Begin by Jacqueline Woodson.
The Day You Begin, written by Jacqueline Woodson, illustrated by Rafael Lopez. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you. Maybe it will be your skin, your clothes, or the curl of your hair. There will be times when no one understands the way words curl from your mouth, the beautiful language of the country you left behind. My name is Rigoberto. We just moved here from Venezuela. And because they don't understand, the classroom will fill with laughter until the teacher quiets everyone. Rigoberto, from Venezuela, your teacher says so soft and beautifully that your name and homeland sound like flowers blooming the first bright notes of a song. There will be times when the words don't come. Your own voice, once huge, now smaller when the teacher asks, "What did you do last summer? Tell the class your story." "We went to France," Chayla says. "These shells came from a beach in Maine." A boy named Jonathan holds out a jar filled with tiny shells so fragile they look like they'll turn to dust in your own untraveled hands. "My whole family went to India, Spain, South Carolina." Each souvenir a small triumph of a journey. Their travels going on. And as you stand in front of that room, you can only remember how the heat waved as it lifted off the curb, and your days spent at home caring for your little sister, who made you laugh out loud and hugged you hard at nap time. You can only remember the books you kept on reading long after she'd fallen to sleep. And in that room, where no one else is quite like you, you'll look down at your own empty hands and wonder, what good is this when other students were flying and sailing and going somewhere? There will be times when the lunch your mother packed for you is too strange or too unfamiliar for others to love as you do. When even your own friend Nadja will wrinkle her nose and say, "What's in there anyway?" And you'll wonder how she doesn't see the rice beneath the meat and kimchi. You'll wonder why she doesn't remember that rice is the most popular food in the world. There will be times when the climbing bars are too high, the run is too fast and far, the game isn't one you can ever really play. I don't want him on our team. You can watch. Maybe you can have a turn later. There will be times when the world feels like a place that you're standing all the way outside of. And all that stands beside you is your own brave self, steady as steel and ready, even though you don't yet know what you're ready for. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you until the day you begin to share your stories. My name is Angelina, and I spent my whole summer with my little sister. You tell the class, your voice stronger than it was a minute ago. Reading books and telling stories, and even though we were right on our block, it was like we got to go everywhere. Your name is like my sister's, Rigoberto says. Her name is Angelina too. And all at once, in the room where no one else is quite like you, the world opens itself up a little wider to make some space for you. This is the day you begin to find the places inside, your laughter and your lunches, your books, your travel, and your stories, where every new friend has something a little like you and something else so fabulously not quite like you at all. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
All right, it's time to sing our kids out for Sunday school this morning. Learn and grow. As part of our service each week, we take time to express our joys, concerns, and sorrows. This is one more way that we connect each other in community, infusing ourselves with all the ways that we are alike and different, the ways that we have changed, and the ways that we have remained steadfast in all the years of this church's existence. If you'd like to recognize a joy, a sorrow, or a milestone, we invite you to come around and grab a stone or several stones in the water and put them in back as well as the front. And feel free to come in and place whatever is a symbol you carry in your heart. Our next hymn this morning is number 118, or on the wall, This Little Light of Mine. Well, good morning and welcome again, everybody, both here in the sanctuary and those folks that are watching us online. Today, we are going to tackle one of first of many that I call hot topics that we're going to look at this year. In today's case, the huge and ever-growing gap between what is legal and what is ethical. Now, honestly, this is nothing new, right? From our beginning as a group of colonies, America has used laws to harm, exploit, and kill anyone who wasn't, frankly, a rich, white, het cis dude with loads of prestige and influence. This really goes back as far as human history. We monkeys are not really good at working together. We tend to have our group, and then we use a scarcity mindset to justify violence against others so that a few can succeed. Every empire throughout history is built on the ashes of conquered and enslaved peoples, and frankly, every religion that I could find has been used to justify slaughter and slavery. It's really not the prettiest of histories, and if I was an alien looking at Earth, I would probably put something in my report that says humans may be sentient, but they really aren't good at being social. Right this second, as I'm looking, and week after week after week, more things are coming up about the Supreme Court and the politicians and all these things. I just don't even know where to begin to talk about the difference between justice and the way people pretend that they're being ethical. There's the utterly inhumane treatment of refugees at our border. There's the fact that 10 men have more money than 4 billion people combined. There's no justice in the way our laws are organized. We claim to be a country of democracy where all are equal under the law, but the truth is that money changes everything. Rich white men can attempt to overthrow democracy and then try to brush it off as free speech, while poor black people who did nothing worse than smoke a joint have lifetime sentences. I could literally go on all day, right, about how many ways we have injustice in our society. But I think if you're here in this building or watching our service online, the odds are good that you know most of this. We are people as a whole who like to stay tuned to what's going on in the world, and it's really depressing to see how often the law is still a synonym for oppression instead of a tool to bring justice. So instead of dwelling on the negative today, which will only drag us all down on a day that climate change has made so very hot, I want to look instead at the religious ideal of justice. And again, religions around the world have been used to oppress and enslave and do horrible things to people, right? So religion is not exempt from this difference between justice and what is actually done. But I want to look at how we as UUs can act in just ways, even when we live in an unjust society, even when the law is against us. Now, first and foremost, you have to protect yourself when you're the target of injustice. If you have a uterus and you live in half of American states, you need to have a plan to protect your body from forced birth. If you're someone who is medically transitioning gender, you need to have plans for how to get your medication when the law comes from you. I know in my work with people in the city and other Black families that all of them at some point have what they call the talk with their kids, which is how to not get murdered by a cop just because you're Black. Well, Jewish families and groups plan for what to do when the anti-Semites attack. Black families have to talk to their children about how to stay and survive in this world. My own family, as a queer family living in a red state, has plans in place for what will we do? When do we leave? How can we be safe? Every family needs an emergency plan. You need to know what to do in case there's a flood or a fire or a tornado. And for many of our families, part of that plan has to be what to do in case of hate. Hateful laws like we're seeing in Missouri and Florida and elsewhere are just as much of a disaster as a tornado. But just like climate change, it's not something that happens without humans being responsible. For those of us who are doing this work, which is, I assume, everyone in this building and everyone who's watching us online, this is exhausting stuff. Always wondering when the shoe will drop, trying to keep a roof over your head and food on your table and not have the doors kicked in. It is exhausting emotional labor and expensive physical labor. Trying to make sure that you have savings in case you have to flee, trying to make sure that you can get access to medications and cash if you need to hide your identity, or have enough gas to get across the border to get the medication that you need. Many of us do not have that financial capacity, so figuring out in advance where can you go to get the help is a crucial part of the survival plan for those facing these unjust laws. Now, for those of us who are lucky enough to live on the Illinois side of the border, these situations may not apply to you, but there are other things that might. We know as a congregation all too well that when deeply conservative people have an outsized influence, we are all at risk, even in the liberal state of Illinois. We are not moving because we want to run away. We are in many ways moving because we're being forced by political and unjust politics, clashing with our commitments to inclusion and equal access. In all my years here with this congregation, every time we hang a pride flag outside, it seems to mysteriously disappear before I get back next Sunday. So even in a place that is liberal, there is still injustice at every level. And our congregation is expending this energy, both physically and emotionally and mentally, to try to find ways to be welcoming when the world is not. It's a lot. And it is okay to be not okay. I really can't emphasize that enough because in our society, we have this sort of attitude that, like, it doesn't matter how bad it gets, you should still be perfectly fine. You can't be perfectly fine when everybody's against you. You need to find ways to take care of yourself. And that is hard. It is really, really hard to find the ways that work for you and your people. Part of it is, at least for those of us in the queer community, and I think it applies across the board, even if you're not, any kind of queer, I think it's important to have a chosen family of your own. So many times, holidays that should be fun and wonderful with our families turn into horrifically stressful times because our politics and our outlooks on life do not agree. So having a chosen family of your own, surrounding yourself with like-minded people who will lift you up, are important things, and they are crucial to the work of real justice. It is not only billionaires who deserve peace and joy. Every single human being deserves to be safe, to find rest, hope, and joy. And this includes you. I'm going to say that again because a lot of times we think that we don't deserve it. You deserve joy. Yes, 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 we have to work for justice and equality. That is a given. But part of that work is finding ways to have joy in your own life as well. Too often when we are fighting for justice, we forget that being happy, taking time to rest, enjoying the moment are all parts of the work, and that we deserve to balance our outward-focused social justice with inward-focused personal growth. No growth happens without rest and replenishment. Winter is just as important a season for the growth of the planet as summer. Every religion has prophets and the human beings that will tell us that we are not free until all are free, that until the work of justice is complete, we still have work to do. But every religion also has contemplatives who say you must rest and rejuvenate in order to continue the vital work towards justice. As a congregation, we have been laboring for a long while just to stay alive, and it is important for us to remember that it's not just about work. We also have to rest and play. As individuals, we have to protect ourselves and be safe, but we also have to find ways to get out of that fight or flight survival mode and enjoy our lives, because a life that is just work is not truly a life. Almost every time I have sat with someone at their bedside as they are dying, their wish is not that they had worked more or done more or achieved more. Their wish is that they had been with those they loved more than anything else. We do not have to wait until we are dying to realize how critically important our beloved ones are for us. When we work together, rest together, and play together, we can both work for justice and spend time with those we love. Life is not a zero-sum scarcity game. There is always enough love to go around. And not just love and rest, but also play. As adults, we often forget how critically important the ability to play and have fun is as human beings. I believe that play is just as important a religious obligation as fighting for justice is. And the reason I believe that is because I've heard someone say that as a queer person, their being happy is a rebellion against the injustice that wants them to be sad and miserable and alone. I say that applies to all of us who are here, whether we're queer or Jewish or black or female or anyone else who is being oppressed and condemned, whether we're liberals in a conservative country, whether we're people who believe in equality in a world that is rigged against those who don't have money. To be happy is to take a stand for life over and against those who want us not to exist. To be ourselves, to have jobs and families and friends, is to stand against injustice and to say that for everyone out there who is going to hate, we're going to teach love wherever we are. For everyone who wants us to be miserable and oppressed and sad, we're going to find ways to be joyful because they can never control our spirit. We white folks have a deep, deep lesson to learn from the black and brown communities and churches when it comes to this. If you've ever been, if you haven't, you should, but if you've ever been to black church, you know it is an experience. You are someone when you are there. They dress to the nines, they lift each other up, they spend their entire time transported into a world where God loves and values them in ways that they do not often experience in the world they live in. They take their hatred and the oppression and the sorrow and all of the things that are dumped on them all week long, and they sing it out, they clap it out. It's an emotional performance in a good way. It's a place where they can go and be free to be themselves, where they can go and be happy, and where they can see a world in which justice will be done in the end. Now, black church, like every church, has its issues, one of which being that too many of them are anti-queer. But that does not lessen the fact that for so many people of color, the experiences they have at church are what gets them through the week. And it's also the place where they claim their power to love and live and laugh, to be respected and cherished in a world that hates them just because of their skin. We have to learn those lessons, not because of the color of our skin, but because of our acceptance and our inclusion and our radical welcome. We need to deliberately choose every time we come here to have a church where people who are oppressed and hated and treated unjustly can come and find solace and healing and respect, happiness and joy, and the wonder of chosen family who love you in all your complexity. Now, I have to say, as a congregation, we are good at this. I've learned more and more of your stories, and I know that every one of you has something that doesn't fit the sort of ideal of society that wants you to work harder, do more, be all about the money, hate those that aren't like you. We don't do that. Each of us has something that the outside world rejects. Maybe you're like me and you don't believe that there's some old guy waiting up in the sky to zap you with a lightning bolt. Maybe you're queer or you question the religion that you grew up in. Maybe you have a uterus or your gender isn't what they told you it ought to be when you were born. Whatever it is that brings you here, whether it's unpopular opinions, rejected beliefs, not being a billionaire, your sexuality or gender or disabilities or neurodivergences, you know what it is. You know what it is that makes you not normal. Please note that I'm putting that in super air quotes. because no one is normal, right? But society has this ideal that they put out there that they want all of us to fit in that one square box. And none of us here do. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Yes, the system is rigged against us. I'm not going to say it's not. All you have to do is watch the drama surrounding the politicians and the Supreme Court to know that for those of us who actually believe the law should apply equally to everyone are very much in the minority. But I pray to my very core that just as you know how you don't fit in the world out there, that here in this place with these people, that you will find those things are the very things that make you welcome here. We see the ways that you belong, and we see in all of your complexity, all of you. We see how you make coffee or volunteer when there's a slot that needs to be filled. We see how you talk to our children or help with the things that need to be done, the things you make for potluck, the talents that folks showed off at the talent show. We see your passion for justice, not just for yourself, but for all. And my prayer is that we will continue to embrace ourselves and each other in all our complexity, and to offer here a place where you can be who you are and be lifted up for who you are, without fear of looking over your shoulder for injustice at every turn. It is my deepest prayer that as we come together in this place, whether in this building or another, that we will continue to be able to love and work and rest in a cycle that will go on through the ages, and that will, in time, replace the injustice of today with the world that can be, the world that we are calling into being together as we accept and love one another, as we invite those who are also misfits in the bigger world outside, as we bring them to this place, as we dance towards justice. Like every dance, there is an ebb and a flow, a time of action and a time of rest. Like everything else in nature, there will be seasons of great growth and seasons of quiet where it seems that not much is happening. But in fact, there is growth deep inside where we cannot see. As Unitarian Universalists, we have faith that real justice is possible. And because we have that faith, we can dance together, creating a world worth having, because we're coming together and step by step, by loving and laughing, by having fun together, by doing things together, by creating a community where all the misfits fit, we are dancing a new and better world into being. My prayer is that it will be so not just in the past, but today, tomorrow, and always. And may each of us be able to see the progress that is being made, even though it seems like it's 2 steps backwards for every step forward. May we all be able to see the progress being made toward a better world for those who come after us. Amen, and blessed be. Our final hymn this morning is number 311, Let It Be a Dance. As Jesse passes around our offering basket, I offer the gentle reminder that our community of faith is supported only by your giving. Our stewardship includes our financial donations, but also our time and talent to help our church. We ask that you help in any way and time and place that you can. All are needed for our church to prosper. Also, up on the board, there are the other ways that you can give financially through things, and then also you can contact a board member. We've got several here today if you would like to do anything else to assist us in this time. We ask that you give what you will and what you are able, for you are truly a generous people. I invite you to join with me in our offering prayer. May this offering equip us to inspire love and seek justice. All right, are there announcements that I don't have up here? Because I've got a couple. Looking at yes. So next week we have a board meeting. An emergency congregational meeting. You should have gotten. Wow, my brain just completely blanked out, guys. I'm so sorry. You should have gotten an email about that. If you have any questions, please let any of the board members know. That'll be really briefly after church. We just need to make sure that we have quorum for that. So I invite you to please come along, or if you can't be here, to reach out to Robin or to one of the other board members and make sure that they have got the information for you that you need. It's also our fourth Sunday potluck, so I'm assuming that is still happening. I haven't heard anything otherwise, but so please bring something to share if you can. And I do want to mention that we are starting to track COVID numbers again. We are trying really hard to make sure that we keep a balance between being together with our friends and our loved ones and sharing in fellowship, but also making sure that folks are safe. So for this time, we do still want everyone to mask in the sanctuary. And we strongly encourage, if you're like me and you're immune compromised, or if you're worried about things, to go ahead and mask outside as well. Certainly, if you're feeling sick, although we love you very much, please stay home. And just we're going to keep looking at the numbers. And as the numbers change, we may have to go back to more masking restrictions. You know, we don't want to, but we want to keep people safe. That's our number one priority for everybody, is to make sure that folks are safe and that we don't have to make any hospital visits. Because I love y'all, but nobody wants to be in the hospital. So that is the big things that I've got. I've also got a couple of other things that are really exciting that are happening. The UU ministers and leaders have met, and we've got some fun stuff coming up going forward. So one of the things that we have is Starting Point. This is an introduction to the Unitarian Universalist journey. It's not just for people who are brand new to UU. If you've been in UU for a while, but you have questions, or you just want to come and share sort of your process thus far, or if you're newer, or if you know somebody who might be interested in learning more about Unitarian Universalism, but they're not quite ready to step in the door of a sanctuary, this is a great class for them. It's going to be 4 weeks on Zoom. All of the information is here on the paper, and we'll be getting, it doesn't start till October, so we'll be getting more information out as things go on, but that's some information going forward. We're actually going to be offering a lot of classes this year, and what we've decided to do is all 4 of the churches, Emerson, which is in St. Charles, Elliott in Kirkwood, First in the city, and then First here in Alton, we're all going to be working together and sharing our RE offerings this year. So there's going to be lots and lots of offerings. I mean, they're all on Zoom, so there's no reason not to open it up and get a bigger group, and more ideas and more cross-pollination is always a good thing. So those are the announcements that I have. Is there anything that I'm missing? Anybody know? All right, then I invite you to join me in reciting our prayer as I extinguish the chalice. The light of truth and meaning cannot be put out. We are keepers of this flame until we meet again. May each and every one of us be able to plan, to play, to work, to rest, and to love, each according to its season. Whatever season of life you are in this day, may you find strength for the work, loved ones to support you in the hard times, and faith enough to trust that even though it may seem so far away, justice is possible if we all dance together. Amen, and blessed be. it's time for some coffee.